Okay, let's talk about variables. So in programming languages and in C++, we need a way to store data. So we use what are called variables. So we use or we create variables to hold our data while we are working on them. Okay, and so let me make another comment. I will say that variables must follow this pattern when you create them. It must have a type, followed by the name of the variable, okay, followed by an assignment sign. Okay, notice I did not say equal sign. This assignment sign, followed by an optional initial value. Okay, so we don't have to give the variable a value, okay, an initial or starting value. Okay, so let's create some variables. So we need a type. So let's say we want to create a variable to hold the age of someone. Okay, well, I would say age is a whole number, so I will use the int data type. Okay, int holds whole numbers, integers, -5, 0, 25, that sort of thing. Now I need to provide a name, so let's call this age. That seems to be a suitable name. The assignment sign, a space, followed by an initial value. Now I don't have to give it an initial value. I could do that. But let's say I want to initialize it, give it an initial value of maybe 44, semicolon. Okay. Let's say I want to create another variable. Let's say to hold someone's name. Well, I will use the string data type. Okay, and by the name it tells you it can hold strings. Let's give it the name. Okay, seems like a good name. And we're going to assign to it somebody's name. Let's say Jane Smith. Jane J. Smith. Okay, and my semicolon. Remember, the semicolon tells the compiler that that's the end of our line. Okay, so in this case, the semicolon here tells us that it's the end of line 8. Okay, end of line 9. Okay, let's create another variable. Let's call this one double. So double, they can hold decimal numbers, numbers with a decimal point. So let's say double length. Okay, and let's say it's 12.4. Okay, 12.4. So that's what I mean when we create variables. Okay, or you might hear some people say that's how you declare. Okay, variables. Okay, great. Now variables by themselves, they don't really do much. So what can we do with variables? Well, we can do calculations with them. We can compare them. But I will start off with something simple. I will simply print them out. And so let's do that. So up here, I'll put another comment. So let's output the values of our variables. Okay. Now again, this is a comment. The compiler does not care about comments. So as far as the compiler is concerned, there is no line 13. Okay, it skips it. Okay, so I want to print out age, so I'm going to say something like cout the age or your age is, okay. Now I could do this. I could just simply print age. Let's do that first. I'm going to print age. Okay, and let me print an end line. Okay, then let me print name. Let me put an end line, and then let me print length, and let me put an end line. Okay, and of course I'm missing my return 0. We always want to put return 0 at the end. Okay, return 0. Okay, so this is my complete program. So I will declare my variables at the top. I put a space. All right, so notice line 12 is blank, and then I will print my variables. And then I put a space, and then I put return 0. Again, when you're writing programs, readability is very important. Okay, so we aim for readability. We want to be able to read our code and let it be clear to us what is happening. So let me see what the result is. Okay, let me run it. And so you notice I get 44, J&J Smith, and 12.4. Now, this works, but what do these mean? Okay, so whenever we're going to print something to the console, okay, and this screen here is what I call the console. All right, when I print something to the console, I want to give it meaning. All right, so if I just see a number 44, I don't know that that's age. So we tend to format our variables by putting in some extra sentences. All right, so for example, instead of just printing age, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say let me remove all of this so you can see. Okay, your age is, let me put a colon and a space. Okay, so this is a string, and so this will print your age is and a space. Okay, and what I want to print after that space is the actual age, and so I will put a space and I will put the output symbol again, and then I will put age. Okay, and so the compiler will say your age is followed by 44, and then I'll put a space, and let's say I want to put a full stop. Well, then I will have to put a full stop after. Finally, I will put a new line. Okay, so this is how I put this string and this variable together to make a sentence. Okay, so let's save this and let's try again, just to show you what it would now look like. All right, so now it says your age is 44. Notice there's a space. All right. Again, most beginners, they tend to kind of ignore the space. All right, and so they might do something like this. And so when you run it, let's build it, let's run it. We'll see that it's joined together, and so it's not easy to read. And so as a beginner, you will say, okay, I need to fix this. Okay, and how do I fix it? Well, I will have to come here and put a space. Okay, so my string now has a space, and so now when I try again, it looks much better. Now let's go ahead and let's fix these ones. All right, I'm not going to delete everything. I'm just going to add to it, and I'm going to say something like your name is, let's put a colon. I don't have to put a colon. We could remove the colon if we wanted. Okay, let's remove the colon, but put a space, and then I will need to put the output operator name, and then let's put a full stop, and then finally let's put an output operator. So notice when I want to write out this piece of string, I need to have this this symbol in front of it. I want to output the name variable, I have to have this symbol in front of it. Everything I want to output, I must have this symbol in front of it. Okay, that's how I build the final string. And likewise, let's save this, let's run it. It's always good to write a piece of code and see what it looks like. Okay, when you're coding, you don't have to write everything at the same time. Okay, that looks good. Let's move on to the last piece, and then I'm going to say something like the length of the ruler is length, and put a space. Notice I am very generous with my spacing, right? So I don't have to have a space here. This works, but it's nice to have spaces. All right. So the length of the ruler is a space followed by length. And then what if I want to put the units? So is something, and then I will put inches, okay, or centimeters. Okay, let's put centimeters, full stop. Okay. And so I'm happy with this, but I will always have to check and ask the compiler to tell me if what I did is correct. So the length of the ruler is 12.4 centimeters. Notice here, right? This is not good. I should have put a space. So we'll have to fix that. So I'm going to go, okay, it sticks on the length to centimeter, which means I should probably put a space here. All right. And I'm going to save it, and I'm going to try again. All right. And let's see. And this time it looks better. All right. So that's it for variables. And one thing I want to do, let me come over here. This is a site called Python Tutor. And so I'm going to click on the C++ Tutor option. Okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this code and I will copy it and I will show you how it would look like. Just to show you that I like to think of variables as boxes. Okay, so every time I create a variable, let me remove string. Okay, I'll just show you the double on the int. Let's remove that. Okay, so when I click visualize, okay, we will see that something pops up over here, right? And so we can step through. So if you notice, age and length, we don't know what they have yet. Okay, it's unknown. But when I execute line 9, we get 44. Okay. When I execute line 10, we get 12.4. And so notice the compiler will now go to line. Notice it skips the comments, right? We don't look at comments. All right. So we go to line 13, and in line 13, we will simply print your age is 44. And we will print the length of the ruler is 12.4 centimeters. So whenever I create variables, I like to think of variables as boxes which have a name, and you put things into that box. Okay? And you can change what is in the box. So for example, if I wanted to change what is in the box, let's say I want to add 1 to age. Okay, I could do that. And so I could simply say the new age, the new value of age will be the old value of age plus 1. Okay, so the way I read this, the way you read this is always look at the right side of the assignment symbol. Okay, you start from there. So I'm going to say age. What is age? It's 44. So it's like saying age is what I get when I take 44 plus 1. So I start off on this side, and whatever I get, that's what I put into the box. Okay, so let's look at that. And notice I do not put an int anymore. Okay, so we don't put int anymore. We only put int once, only when we are creating the variable. After we've created the variable and we want to use it, we don't put on the int or the type anymore. Okay, that would be an error. Okay, so let's see how the box changes. All right, so it's 12.4, and then when I come down on line 17, you'll notice that it changes from 44 to 45, right? Because we're going to take the old value, which is 44, add 1, giving me 45, and then that 45 is put back into the same box. All right, now there's one other thing I want to mention before I leave variables, and that is the one where you don't initialize. So it's quite okay for me to do something like this. Int size, well, not use size, let's use height. Well, height is a double, so let me use double. Height, okay. I could do that. Okay, so this is an uninitialized variable. Okay, so what are uninitialized variables? Well, uninitialized variables, they have garbage in it, meaning it will just have a random value in it. So for example, if I decided to print out height, okay, you will notice that it just has some random thing in it. Okay, we don't know for sure. That's why I say it's random. We don't know. All right, so when I click play, you'll notice that, well, it gives me 0. All right, it gives me 0. Okay, we didn't put 0 in it, but it gives me 0. And so we don't really know what will be put in it. All right, so here it gives me 0. If I create a string, okay, if I say a string and I put neighbor or brand, okay, it's uninitialized as well. Okay, uninitialized variable. Okay, and so if I print this out, so if I say cout brand, okay, let's see what it gives me. Let's see what it gives me. I don't know, but let's see what it gives us. Okay, well, it gives me nothing. All right, so the thing I'm trying to get across is we want to initialize our variables. Okay, we want to initialize our variables. However, there are cases, there are times when we don't have to initialize our variables, and I will show you when that's the case later on. Okay, so I'll leave it here. As far as you're concerned, as a beginning programmer, this is all you need to know for variables. Okay, how to create a variable and initialize it, how to create an uninitialized variable. Okay, again, uninitialized variables have random data in them. Okay, so we don't know what is in there, so we can never trust what is in there. All right, okay, and so we can create uninitialized variables, and then of course we can print those variables. In the next lesson, I want us to look at how we can get input from the user. And so I'll see you in that next lesson.